Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we take a whole stack of sources and pull out those gems, those insights that, make you the most interesting person at the party.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And today we're diving into a really fascinating question. What if solving a murder wasn't really about the smoking gun?
Right. What if it was more about, say, human nature, village gossip, maybe even a whole series of perfectly laid deceptions?
Exactly. And the source for our deep dive today, it's an absolute classic that does just that. Agatha Christie's The Murder at the Vicarage.
Ah, yes, St. Mary Mead. We're heading to this seemingly sleepy English village, the kind of place where our narrator, the vicar Leonard Clement, actually said, nothing exciting ever happens here.
Famous last words, really, because something does happen.
Right.
Oh boy, does it. With a vengeance, you could say.
It really kicks off when the vicar himself, maybe not his wisest moment, is musing over lunch that anyone who murdered Colonel Protheroe would be doing the world at large a service.
Talk about putting it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, our mission today is to peel back the layers of this foundational mystery.
We want to look at how just one crime in one small village can expose this whole tangled web of relationships, right?
Yeah.
And the hidden motives.
And how people react under pressure. It's kind of a shortcut to understanding the mechanics of a crime, but maybe more importantly, how it gets unraveled.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The heart of St. Mary Mead. And the man who, starts it all, Colonel Protheroe. The vicar, he's our eyes and ears here, and he paints quite a picture, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Loud, very opinionated, and described quite bluntly as mean as the devil.
So definitely not the village favorite, then.
Oh, far from it. Protheroe seemed almost designed to stir things up. He publicly accuses the new curate, Mr. Hawes, of Romish tendencies.
Which was a big deal back then, right? Suggesting he was too high church, leaning towards Catholicism.
Exactly. A very loaded accusation. And he didn't stop there. He demands to see the church accounts, hinting at defalcations, basically accusing the vicar himself of embezzlement.
Wow. Okay. And at home?
Just generally unpleasant, particularly to his younger second wife, Anne, and his stepdaughter, Ladise. Christie's really clever here by making him so disliked.
Everyone's a suspect.
Pretty much. It grounds the whole mystery in these very real, very human conflicts. Almost anyone could have done it.
And our narrator, the vicar, Leonard Clement, he's our way in. Seems like a decent guy, maybe a bit distracted, thinking about detective novels instead of sermons sometimes.
Yes, and his wife, Griselda, she's quite the character too. Not in the least meek, he says. Very pretty, but maybe incapable of taking anything seriously.
Though apparently her housekeeping wasn't as random as it looked.
Apparently not. Then you've got the rest of the village ecosystem. It's a rich mix.
Like Lawrence Redding, the artist, seems quite taken with Anne Protheroe.
Clearly. And Ladise, the colonel's stepdaughter, she's described as wraith-like, sort of vague, but with this hidden, funny, vindictive streak.
Interesting. And there's an archaeologist, Dr. Stone, and his secretary, Gladys Cram.
Yes, seemingly quiet figures. And then, of course, there's Miss Jane Marple, the observant spinster. Her understanding of human nature is, probably the sharpest tool in the whole story.
Can't forget the gossip network either. Miss Hartnell, Miss Weatherby, and Mrs. Price Ridley.
Oh, absolutely. They miss nothing. It's this perfect little world of secrets and observations.
A perfect storm waiting to happen, and it does. On the Thursday evening, Colonel Protheroe is found shot. In the vicar's study, of all places. Sometime between, 6:20 and 6:35 p.m.?
Yeah, the vicar finds him sprawled across my writing table in a horrible, unnatural position, shot through the head. It's a brutal scene.
And the details are immediately weird.
Very weird. First, there's this overturned clock on the desk, stopped at 6:22.
But wait, didn't you say the vicar keeps his clock fast? Like 15 minutes fast.
Exactly. So that 6:22 is immediately suspicious. Then there's this note, unfinished, headed 6:20. It starts, Dear Clement, sorry, I cannot wait any longer, but I must.
So on the surface, that seems to pin down the time, makes it look like the colonel wrote it just before being shot.
Precisely. But no gun. The murder weapon is missing from the scene.
Okay, so a puzzling scene. Enter Inspector Slack. And the name is ironic, I take it.
Completely. He determinedly strives to contradict his name. He's described as dark, restless, energetic, and honestly, pretty rude.
So he clashes with the vicar.
Immediately. He just dismisses the vicar's explanation about the clock being fast. He's all about rigid procedure, not interested in the local context.
Which I'm guessing is a mistake.
A huge mistake, because almost right away, the whole investigation just gets flooded with confessions. and contradictions. It gets very messy very fast.
First up is Lawrence Redding, the artist.
Yeah. Yes, he turns himself in. Claims he shot the colonel during a quarrel around 6:45. Says he brought his own Mauser pistol, a war souvenir, and, get this, admits he altered the clock back to 6:20.
Okay, that sounds convenient. But hang on, wasn't there a doctor?
Dr. Haydock. And this is the first massive crack. Haydock is adamant. He says the colonel had been dead for half an hour, I should say, much earlier than Lawrence claims. He's absolutely positive.
So Lawrence's timeline is impossible according to the medical evidence.
Pretty much. And the vicar himself saw Lawrence running away from the vicarage, looking deathly white, shaking like a man on the point of going mad.
Doesn't sound like someone coolly carrying out a plan. Sounds more like genuine shock.
Exactly. It throws Lawrence's whole confession into question. Was it real? Was he covering for someone?
And then Anne Protheroe confesses too, the colonel's wife.
Astonishingly, yes.
Yeah.
She claims she went to the vicarage after 6 p.m., said she was in despair, wanted to shoot herself, but somehow the shot hit her husband instead.
Right, and the gun.
She says she took her husband's pistol from his dressing table drawer.
Okay, let me guess. Contradiction.
Immediately. The colonel's valet swears his master never kept a pistol there, so her story about the weapon is a straight-up lie.
This is getting complicated. It feels like they're deliberately muddying the waters.
It certainly starts to feel that way. And then Miss Marple weighs in, quietly, of course. She saw Anne in her garden, then later saw her meeting Lawrence and Dr. Stone after 6:30.
Which means Anne couldn't have been alone at the vicarage when she claimed her timeline is busted too.
Precisely. It's just masterful misdirection. These confessions, they don't solve anything. They just show how strong emotions, love, fear, whatever can twist the truth. Inspector Slack is facing a hall of mirrors.
And wasn't there something about a phone call? Mrs. Price Ridley.
Ah, yes. Not a murder confession, but she reports getting a threatening phone call around 6:30 p.m. Seems minor, but it gets traced back to Lawrence Redding's cottage.
But Lawrence had an alibi then. He was with Dr. Stone.
Spot on. So who made the call? It points towards a fake call, something planned to confuse things even more.
It's amazing, really, just how many layers of lies and deception one crime can stir up. Every clue seems to add another twist.
It really does, even tiny details, like Mary, the maid. At first she says she heard nothing. Then she remembers a queer sort of bang out in the woods.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 15 minutes before Lawrence even showed up.
A bang in the woods. Okay, file that away.
Mm.
And Lettice, the stepdaughter, she seemed vague before.
Yeah, wraith-like. But then she reveals this funny vindictive streak, and she claims she lost her yellow beret in the study, uses it as an excuse to go searching after the murder.
Which is suspicious in itself.
Very. And even worse, it turns out she secretly plants one of Anne's earrings, a lapis lazuli one, in the study, trying to frame her stepmother.
Wow, so much for vague and innocent.
Not at all. Then anonymous letters start arriving. One accuses Griselda, the vicar's wife, of carrying on with Lawrence Redding, hints at a past relationship.
Good grief. Dragging the vicar's own family into it. Does Griselda say anything?
She does, actually. In a moment of honesty, she admits she did know Lawrence rather well before she married the vicar. Says she was even rather in love with him.
So the anonymous letter wasn't entirely wrong. Just goes to show how secrets fester in a small village.
Exactly. But the real bombshell, it's that note found with the body. The 6.20 note. Handwriting analysis proves it's a forgery.
A forgery, not written by the colonel at all.
Not written by him. That completely blows up the initial timeline and assumptions about what happened and why.
All right, this is where Miss Marple really comes into her own, isn't it? Contrasting with Inspector Slack's methods.
Absolutely. Slack is all about the official procedure, the hard evidence. Miss Marple, she's different, calm, watchful. She focuses on human nature, compares people to, the plants and birds in her garden.
A student of people.
Exactly. She's proficient, as the book says, in studying people. And she sees things Slack misses because of it.
Like what, specifically?
Yeah. Well, she doubts Lawrence's whole distraught act. Doesn't ring true for someone who planned a murder. She points out how illogical that forged 6.2 note is, especially with the vicar's fast clock. The colonel said he'd wait.
Makes sense. What else?
She suspects Lettice isn't nearly as vague as she seems, that she's acting upon some definite idea. And she clocks that suitcase Miss Cram has as being somehow peculiar. Significant.
It's the small details, isn't it? Things others overlook.
Always. She even tells Lawrence, talk to the servants. Find out the things no one mentions or bothers to mention. That's often where the truth lies.
And didn't she uncover something about Griselda, too?
Yes, a crucial piece. She finds out Griselda was seen leaving Lawrence's cottage out the back window at 6:20 p.m. on the day of the murder.
6.20, that makes Griselda a suspect, briefly, and shows just how tightly timed everything was.
Precisely. And ultimately, it's Miss Marple's theory that pulls it all together. The murder weapon likely had a silencer, a Maxim silencer, that bang in the woods. Probably faked, maybe using picric acid to create noise away from the study.
The bang Mary heard.
Could be. And the forged letter was deliberately planted to frame Anne. Miss Marple sees the human motivations behind the clues.
So let's unravel the final truth, then. Dr. Stone, the archaeologist, not just digging for old pots.
Not at all. That suitcase of Miss Graham's, found in the woods. It contained Colonel Protheroe's very valuable silver trencher salts and the Charles II tassa.
He was stealing them.
Yes, Dr. Stone is revealed to be a well-known cracksman, a high-class burglar. The archaeology was just a cover.
And the motive for murder?
Protheroe caught him. Caught him trying to steal the silver, possibly planning to replace it with fakes. The murder was to silence him. Suddenly it all clicks into place.
Chilling. And Lawrence Redding, the artist, he wasn't just covering, he was in on it.
Deeply involved. He was infatuated with Anne, and they conspired together. It's quite a plan.
So he planted the gun with the silencer.
Yes, pre-planted in the vicar's study. And he arranged that fake phone call, apparently using a woman's voice from the empty North Lodge, all to get the vicar out of the house.
Creating the opportunity.
Exactly. Then he met Anne, went back to the study, shot Protheroe, staged the scene, the clock, the forged note.
Specifically to frame Anne. That seems harsh if they were conspiring.
Miss Marple theorizes it was a double cross, or perhaps a very risky way to make her confession seem more plausible later if needed. Then he does his distraught man act for the vicar.
And the shot in the woods. Also him.
Also him. Faked with picric acid and a stone, likely. All to create an alibi for Anne, confuse the timing, and draw suspicion away from the study. It was incredibly calculated.
And Anne, unhappy, in love with Lawrence. She was his accomplice.
Yes. Her confession was described as a heroic self-accusation, trying to shield Lawrence. She must have helped retrieve the real letter Protheroe was writing before Lawrence killed him. The story of, well, desperate love leading to terrible acts.
But the manipulation didn't end there, did it? What about Mr. Hawes, the curate?
Ah, yes. The final cruel twist. Lawrence planted another forged letter on Hawes, supposedly from Protheroe, accusing Hawes of embezzling church funds.
The peculation.
Right. And along with the letter, he planted a fatal dose of poison, a cachet. The idea was to make Hawes' death look like suicide, driven by guilt over the murder.
A third false confession, to deflect blame entirely from himself and Anne. That's
terribly cold, especially as Hawes was already unwell, suffering from encephalitis lethargica, which made him more vulnerable.
And one more secret, explained Mrs. Lestrange, the mysterious woman.
She turns out to be Lytis's biological mother, and she's dying. Dr. Haydock, the village doctor, was an old friend, maybe more, and he was helping her hide her identity.
Why hide?
From the village gossip, mainly. But also from Colonel Protheroe, who had forbidden her from ever seeing Lytis. It explains her secrecy and why Haydock was so protective. There's another layer of human drama tangled up in it all.
What strikes me, too, is how the book touches on justice and morality afterwards. Dr. Haydock has some really interesting, almost modern views.
Oh, like what? He talks about crime almost like a disease, maybe linked to glandular secretion, rather than just a moral failing. He argues against capital punishment, suggesting society should be protected from criminals, but not necessarily focused on retribution.
That's quite philosophical for a village doctor in a murder mystery. A counterpoint to all the judgment.
It really is. And then there's the final irony, isn't there? Despite Miss Marple figuring everything out.
Inspector Slack gets all the credit.
Great credit was reflected upon Inspector Slack, the book says, whose zeal and intelligence had resulted in the criminals being brought to justice. A little nod to how the quiet observers, the spinster ladies, often do the real work unseen.
Yeah, a reminder that insight doesn't always wear a uniform.
Exactly. And it just underscores how everything grudges, secrets, love, fear, ambition, all bubbled beneath the surface of this supposedly stagnant pool of St. Mary Mead.
So this deep dive really shows, doesn't it, that solving a crime isn't just about the clues left behind. It's about understanding people, their motives, their character, how they interact, how they deceive.
The official investigation gets the facts, maybe, but it's the community, The observation, the understanding of human nature that reveals the whole messy human story.
And Miss Marple is the master of that, the shrewdest observer. She understands people better than any detective, really.
And proves that those tiny details, the peculiar things, the inconsistencies in behavior, that's what cracks the case. Because they tell you about the person, not just the crime scene.
Absolutely. Which leads to a final thought, doesn't it? If a quiet little village like St. Mary Mead can hold all this drama, deception, hidden lives, well, what might be unfolding in the seemingly ordinary corners of your world?
How well do you really know the characters around you? Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.